several clergy in Russia.
Was the Pope appealing for peace, or was he praying for peace?
And the same applies to the Kaliningrad.
Yeah, that's a good question. So what do you have to say about that, guys? Good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, and welcome to Global Atheist News Review, the show where our panel of opinionated people get to express their views on the news. And here they are. We have, from British Columbia, Western Canada, Greg, Pirate. Thanks for coming, Dred. We have Guy Otten from the northern part, Manchester of the UK, England. Welcome, Guy. We have Esther, the Afro-humanist from the Midlands near Birmingham. Welcome, Esther.
Thank you.
We have Dr. Ty from Tennessee, the US of A.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Good. Don't be so surprised. Thanks for coming, Ty. And Frank Lovell from nearby Kentucky, USA. Thanks, Frank. And David Orenstein from New York. Thanks for coming, David. Okay, let's hit you with the first news item. You may or may not have seen the report in the Global Atheist News that went out yesterday, but the Taliban's secretive leader, Mullah Hibatullah Akhundzada, has made his first visit to the Afghan capital, Kabul. Now, he's a secretive guy. No photographs have been taken of him. No video has been taken. And he only appears with tight security. And at this particular gathering in Kabul, around 3,000 religious scholars convened to discuss issues of national unity, but it included, here's a surprise, no women and no journalists, no independent journalists. So he made a little speech in which he said the Taliban takeover of Afghanistan last year was not only a source of pride for Afghans, but for Muslims all over the world. Thank God, we are now an independent country. Foreigners should not give us their orders. It's our system, and we make our own decisions. We have a relationship of devotion to one God. We cannot accept the orders of others, which God does not like. Starting with you then, Dred.
So they seem to be acknowledging that the other gods do exist. Then is that what's going on there?
Who knows? Apparently, he knows what goes on inside the head of his God, because
Yes,
his
of course,
God
don't they all?
doesn't like us.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, it's
Anyone else?
yeah. It's funny. It's funny every time I hear something like that. But again, it's kind of nice that he's kind of passively acknowledging that other gods exist that his God doesn't like. So it's a step forward.
Yeah, yes, sir.
What strikes me about this visit by him to Kabul is it appears it's going to be similar to the Iranian system, where the Iranians have a president and a government, but actually above them is this religious authority, and they're a bit more remote, and they actually make the decisions. That's what it looks like to me.
There's some serious background.
Yeah, there is. Oh, that's
It's
gone
Esther.
now.
It just vanished.
I've just turned Esther's mic off, so it's you,
right.
Esther. I'm afraid you've got some background noises going on nearby. I don't know what it is.
There it is. There it is again.
If you just mute when you're not speaking, Esther.
Okay, I think.
I've muted you this time.
Okay. So
So who else wants to have a go at this?
Yeah.
Anybody else want to have a go
When
at
you
this?
said something about the Taliban, I was anticipating like something exploded or a bunch of people died. What I'm hearing is like they went to a political conference, and I'm like, okay, that's oddly enough the first good Taliban news I've heard in some time, if not the first. So I don't know.
And not very good either.
Is it perfect?
David.
No. Could have been worse, sure.
You're on mute.
You're on mute, David.
No, let him keep doing. He's doing his mime thing. I like it. There it is. Yeah. Okay. 3 words.
No, but I mean, how surprised can you be to know that there are no women at a Taliban conference? I mean, that would defy expectations, to say the least. I mean, all of these organized faiths, especially the more evangelical, regardless of the faith tradition, are all sort of like built like the mafia.
Right.
There's a Don, there's a consigliere, there's all these things, but it's basically a form of organized crime.
Yeah, I concur.
Indeed. Yeah. So you'll be interested to hear that another senior Taliban figure said, the women are our mothers, sisters, wives, presumably. We respect them a lot. And when their sons are in the gathering, it means that they are also involved in a way in the gathering. Only through their menfolk.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very obvious that the women are not valued. Women, children, these are the bottom end of this hierarchy.
Mm-hmm.
They're not valued, and they try to give this impression that we value women. Women have rights in our religion, but everything they do just tells a different story altogether. Now tell me, which one of them in that meeting is going to stand up for women's rights? Which one of them? When you completely exclude the women, it's I just think that countries like these, you just feel my heart breaks for women, children, that live in places like this. It's completely heartbreaking.
Yes, it is. Yes, it's very important to choose where you're born.
Yes.
But I mean, I think the concept of women's rights is not one they're familiar with. I think.
Right.
I think they see women. Well, I'm looking at Islam now, and as far as I can tell, judging by the Quran, and they seem to still observe it, women are more seen as property rather than as individuals with rights. That's the impression I'm getting. Somebody might correct me on that. I mean, but that's the way I see it.
Perfect impression. They are property. Women are property in Islam.
Yep.
And also among a few Christian sects.
Yeah. Pets, if that isn't probably too high a status to afford women.
Right. Well, you see this in Hasidic Judaism as well. Women are educated. If they're educated at all, they're educated to a certain age, and then that's it. They don't go on to have positions of authority, and their place is with their mouth closed in the home and in the bedroom or in the kitchen. It's an archaic form of patrilineal management, which is totally misogynic.
Yeah, and as the pornography industry says, women should be obscene and not heard.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Not heard that one.
There's a really good reason why there's no religion that has very strong advocacy for women autonomy or rights in general, because it is a tool for patriarchies to take control. It's a power instrument. It's not an equality measure.
Well, the exception, of course, is pastafarianism.
Good point. Good point. But I should say truth. Modern modern ones, sure, but not to
Yeah,
muddy
yeah.
the waters anymore. Most of them, grand majority, get an F.
This is
Sorry, guys.
this is only the progressive wing of
The
pastafarianism.
reactionary, I would say. There you go. That's probably better. Like, hey, there's a missing demographic
do
here.
Pastafarians have sort of Hasidic or Haredi or extreme versions?
Well, New Zealand tends to be much more feminist driven,
Okay.
which is just an
You fill us
interesting
in on-
color.
Yeah, you fill us in on that another day.
Yeah.
Dread. So, from one country which denigrates women to another, the US.
Yeah.
President Joe Biden has said that women traveling for abortions will be protected by the federal government. Speaking at a virtual meeting with Democratic state governors, Mr. Biden said he believed that some US states, this is following Roe v. Wade overturning, would attempt to arrest women who crossed state lines for abortion access. He said, I don't think people believe that's going to happen, but it is going to happen, he said. So he's going to ensure the safety somehow of these women on their journey. And he added that the government would ensure access to abortion pills in states where abortion is prohibited. What do you think of that?
I got something to say. Well, I know a lot of Americans on the call, but I would say this. Remember, Biden is staunchly Catholic. And I want to make that a point in that you have the wherewithal of a person who does have a religion, but isn't forcing it on other people. And I think that's the crux of what we want out of leadership, regardless of whether they're here in the U.S. or out abroad. It's like, you have a right to religion, sure, believe what you want, but don't let your beliefs in terms of the supernatural affect the livelihoods of other people. And I applaud the protection that he's extending to people who need it. Absolutely. And more so.
I would agree. I would say that governance in a democracy has to be secular.
I mean, isn't it the case that one of the fundamental aspects of the United States is a free market? So if somebody wants to go and purchase a service in a different state, isn't it absolutely fundamental to the union that they're entitled to do that?
Oh, yeah.
Nonetheless, there are states that are planning to make it illegal in those states for women to travel out of their state for abortion. Now,
So
how that's going to shake out?
Couldn't that be challenged? Couldn't that be challenged in the Supreme Court as contrary to the Constitution?
I hope so.
How would they know? How would they know the purpose of a woman's...
That's the thing. And I feel like just hearing that it's not a positive message, in my opinion. It still sounds as if there's still a threat there. The fact that some women have to leave their state to go to another state,
Right.
just for the purpose of having an abortion. What happened to them expressing, it's their body. Allow them to do what they want with their body, and you take away the choice from them. I don't know if that's enough, saying, oh, we will protect. So that means you're admitting that they have to uproot from one end to another end to get this service, which they can't get from here. But don't worry, we'll protect them. It's not good enough. It's not good enough, in my opinion.
And how are they going to do it? Are they going to assign a policeman to travel with her? It's ridiculous.
Or maybe they will have someone, or
It's an
maybe
invasion
have
of privacy
someone,
regardless of how they do it.
or maybe have someone scanning people's bellies. So
Yeah. Well, I'll defer to our pirate friend. He had his hand up first.
I was just going to say, Esther made the statement about choice, and I remember last time I was hoping to try and start reframing that. Instead of saying pro-choice, pro-autonomy. It's recognizing it's not about the choice to kill a baby or keep a baby. It's the choice it's about the autonomy over your own body. And and maybe we should just change our language and help reframe this and strengthen or reframing.
Yeah, yeah.
Only that. Sorry, go ahead, David.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Well, this is as much a decision about child rearing as it is another war, not only on women, but war on poor women, and in particular women who are brown or black skinned, because frankly, people who can travel have the money and resources to do so. Women who can't travel or want an abortion but can't afford to travel, even a bus ticket of $50 is a bridge too far for a lot of people, are now forced through no fault of their own to not have the human right to their reproductive freedom. And that's the sad thing, because this is as much about a war on women as it is a war on poor women.
Right. On top of that, too, no one really, both sides don't care that this is a actual baby in the womb. This is largely a power play. We're doing it because we can. Because here's the thing: for 9 months, you can't claim that baby as a dependent in your taxes and get a tax write-off. The government won't let you do that. They're saying no, it doesn't count as an actual person if you want to get a tax benefit. But it does if we want to power trip our way into taking away your autonomy. And ratcheting men up a little bit higher than women on that totem pole. That's not cool.
That's interesting.
Okay, I gotta go. Take care.
Okay.
Well, thanks, David.
Sorry for not being able to stay, but everyone have a great session. Bye now.
Thanks for coming.
Cheers.
Listen, not that I'm asking for a tax break. I'm just saying it's so clearly inconsistent.
Yes.
It is. It is. And also the religion of choice, the religion that backs this whole thing up. You only need to read that book, the Bible, and you will see cases of God instigating an abortion, or God being somehow responsible for an abortion taking place. I think it's reach. It's reach of Christians to say, they're pro-choice and pro-life when they're God. I mean, I look at the story of David in the Bible, when David had the encounter with Bathsheba, right? So David and Bathsheba did their thing, and the story went on to say Bathsheba's husband was killed in the war, and God was angry with David. But who paid the price? Who paid the price for this sin? It was the unborn baby. The unborn baby paid the price for David's sin. And yet somehow David still ended up being God's favorite person. That scripture says that David was a man after God's heart.
Yes.
But it's okay for God to kill the baby.
Yes. He's the ultimate authority. So, but we're going
as hypocritical.
Yes. But we're going to the part of the world where you have an interest now, Esther. We're going to Nigeria, where police rescued 26 children, 8 teenagers, and 43 adults from imprisonment in a church where they were confined in the southwestern state of Ondo. Some of them are believed to have been there for months. And police say they're investigating mass abduction because they raided the whole Bible Believers Church in the Valentino area of Ondo town to release these captives. What do you think of that?
I mean, it was you who told me about this story to begin with, so thank you. Thanks for sending that to me. But then I feel like it's just going to go away. Not a lot will be done because they would sort of give excuses that people have choice. It's their choice. They were not forced to be there. And so there's really not so much they can do with this case. This is my opinion. Because it's not the first. and it will not be the last case.
No. No.
The last time there was a church, this pastor told everyone to go sell everything they owned and bring the money to church and come gather in the church, because Christ, this second almighty second coming of Christ
Well,
that
this
they've
is the
been
thing.
waiting for
Yeah.
over how many years?
Yeah.
At some point, people need to understand Jesus is not coming. I don't know how you explain it to these
Hold
people.
on. It's only been 2,000 years. You can't say that. You don't know that.
We won't know that
Give it another
until
20 minutes. You don't know. We came
We
this
won't-
far.
we can't be certain about that until the end of time.
No, but
So-
it is sad, because these are poor people, right? On those states, and the location where this church is, you can see it's in the poor areas, right?
Yes.
And a lot of these people have been told that, do not worry, when you get to heaven, problem solved. All the
Yeah.
riches are up there. Everything you never had here, you will get it over there, right? And so there's a hope. These people have a hope. They want something better up there, which they're not able to get here.
Well, you're
I feel
right.
like-
It is about the second coming,
It
and
is.
apparently the deputy pastor, they've both been arrested, by the way, the pastor and his deputy. But it was the deputy pastor, Josiah Peter Asumosa, who told the church members that the rapture would take place in April, but then when it didn't happen, he said it had been changed to September.
I mean, there was a church somewhere in I forgot the name of the country now, where the pastor predicted that the rapture was going to take place, and when the rapture didn't take place, he just gathered everyone in the church and just burnt everybody to death.
Wow.
Yeah, it's in if you type it was a woman. It was a woman preacher, woman pastor. I forgot the name of it now. To see if I can remember it. You know, when she had predicted the first time, I think twice predicted, and nothing happened. And the only way was to just gather everyone together, and they set the church ablaze and burnt the people. Quite a lot of people. They actually called this woman the African Jim Jones. It's really, I don't know, this idea. They used to scare us with this idea of Jesus coming. They would tell us to, you never know when it's going to happen. It's going to happen when you go. It could happen when you go to sleep. It could happen. Just how do people live their life just every day, in constant fear that Christ is coming? It's I don't know.
It's very sad. Yes.
I mean,
So-
the Jehovah's Witnesses have been doing it for 100 years or more, haven't they?
Yes. Yes.
Have been predicting the end of the world.
Yes.
And yeah. Sorry, Ty.
Oh no, you're good. I wanted to bring up in a much more tamer sense. When I was growing up, my mom used to be very afraid of crickets. And we grew up in California, and there was a particular season where crickets would just be all over the place because we're near agriculture. And she would be deathly terrified of them. And if one ever got into the house, we would be in a whole ordeal for all of us. My sister, myself, we'd have fly swatters everywhere. We'd have cans of bug spray everywhere. It'd be terrifying. And when I got older and I moved out of college, I was still afraid of crickets because that was how I was raised. But now I know they're not that big of a deal. I can hold them. I held one outside with my bare hands, or just going outside in the grass. I realized when you foster an idea of fear, particularly as a young child, those fears is very easy to become a reality. And so when you have an idea of a God watching me, a hateful God or vengeful God, that can be real to the person who's been raised in that particular environment. Sure. And it's not that extraordinary of a concept for someone to be that irrational in their actions in terms of killing other people to manifest what they think would be pleasing to a God, or even a date when they think that God's going to come after them. That's not as obscure thing because they're not working on a realm of rationality to begin with.
I wanted to add to that too, is that because people often say, well, I do it because that's the way I was raised. And that, I think, is a surrender of your ability to manage your own life to your past. It's like giving up. And I think it's kind of a lame excuse.
Yeah,
It's not a
definitely.
good reason to do most things.
No, but you might know, or otherwise, that crickets are quite delicious if dipped in chocolate.
Yeah, very true, actually. Yeah.
And apparently, it's all the rave in England as a game.
Yes.
But they're not very good at it. Oh, well.
They're not very good at it.
No.
Careful there.
Yeah.
Moving-
One time at school, I was playing cricket, and I was in the outfield, and I wasn't paying attention because it is very boring. And the and the ball came and hit me on the head. So I've never been the same since.
Well, there's another story like that. Is that there was a outfield fielder who was dozing, and suddenly he saw the ball hurtling towards him, and he leapt up and caught it, and it was a sparrow.
That's funny.
So we're going to the antipodes, the antipodes now, where sadly 8-year-old Elizabeth Rose Strews had type 1 diabetes, and her parents withheld insulin until she died 6 days later. And they've been arrested. But also, 12 members of the religious group that they belong to have also been arrested because the police say that they are implicated in this denial of life-saving medication because they believed that she would be healed by God.
Of course.
I think they were just praying over her, and they thought the prayers would work. And it is a form of child abuse, this, and child neglect.
Absolutely.
It needs to be named for what it is, because prayer is no more than wishful thinking.
Yes,
I
agree.
think that when children are concerned, it's completely different when children are concerned, and people need to step in for the children and completely cancel the what the parents think. So I think in the UK, if I'm not mistaken, if a child is in the hospital and the child needs life-saving treatment, and say the parents have a religious beliefs, the hospital staff can act in the best interest of that child, and they can completely negate the feelings, and overrule the feelings and what what the parents would rather have. Here in the UK, I think that's a thing, if I'm not mistaken.
It isn't. No, it isn't. It isn't. They have to go to the they'd have to go to the High Court and get the child made a ward of court.
Ward of the
They
state.
can do it that way, but they can't do it.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not automatic. I mean, there are steps they can take to overrule the. That's what I was trying to say.
Yes.
And here's an interesting thing: is that all this effort by religious groups to outlaw abortion, and then once they're out of the womb, outlaw medical care. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Absolutely crazy. And the children, when they're young, they go to heaven automatically, right? In these religions. So why not have them go to heaven straight away? Then you have them born. Now they've got to go through the process of receiving Jesus into their heart, and when they become adults, they have to go through the process of it's just I don't know, they don't think very deeply when things like abortion is concerned, and other topics. They just think it's our book says so, and that's it. They don't think about the implications that
No.
deeply.
They
They're
don't.
not
That's
consistent.
what the point of the
They
religion
don't. They
is.
don't think at all.
Yes.
You don't
They
have.
Certainly,
don't
they're
think
not.
at all about it.
They're not consistent. Certainly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm saying that as a
Having
former
these
Christian.
mutually conflicting thoughts, I mean, that's cognitive dissonance in a nutshell.
Yes.
You know?
Yes. Absolutely. So Australia doesn't often make it to our show because, unlike other countries, I can list Afghanistan, Pakistan, Nigeria, Israel, Iran. These are sort of hotbeds of religious hatred and heinous activity, and Australia isn't usually. So it's unusual to have an item like that in the news.
Well,
But
remember, Australia has elected a known open atheist as president.
Yes.
I mean, so they're way ahead of, of our country too. Even.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. But they do have a few gripes. And Meredith Doig, president of the Rationalist Society of Australia, says replace Parliament prayer rituals. Because at the moment, every Parliament meeting is started with the Lord's Prayer. Only I think it's a variation of God Bless Australia or something like that. And she doesn't want that to happen. She thinks they're in a secular country. It's ridiculous to have this tradition continuing.
Yeah, we have the same problem in the UK. Parliamentary sittings and council sittings are all started with prayers of some sort or another. But one thing that humanists have done is, and I've done it twice. I've got myself invited to say the prayers at the beginning of a council meeting. In fact, I've obviously not done prayers. I've done a statement of good wishes and so forth. So that's the way we've tackled it.
Yes.
In Canada, of course, we have the same issue as with UK and Australia, where Parliament, so the federal government, starts the session with a prayer. And it was kind of unfortunate because the humanist associations across Canada have been working towards building a petition to have prayer abolished. And a backbencher, got the bright idea that he was just going to do it kind of in the spur of the moment. So it actually forced the vote on the floor, and unfortunately the vote failed, which kind of set behind the efforts of the human associations who had been gathering some momentum. So we'll see how that unfolds over time.
Yeah. This reminds me of the occasions when I've been in the company of Christian people around a dinner table, and it's been their tradition to say grace. And I've volunteered. I've said, I'll say grace. And I stand up and I say, for every plateful, let's be grateful.
Yeah, I mean, I've said grace as well, and what I've done is I've thanked the people who grew the food, planted the food, grew the food, harvested it, transferred it, sold it, bought it, prepared it, paid for it. Those are the people we need to thank.
Yes. Yes, God didn't do much cooking.
Didn't have anything to do with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only thing I'm really upset about.
Everyone else did all the heavy lifting.
Is my mic not working?
It's working.
Okay.
When
I go to a potluck and I bring food, and someone else is like, "Okay, get ready to eat food, but first this guy's gonna pray." I'm like, "This guy didn't bring the fried plantains. I brought the fried plantains. I'm gonna eat my food. Thank you very much. I'm gonna get up and prepare food. I don't care. For potlucks. I'm very adamant about people don't pray over my food.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes.
That's
quite right.
Well, one of the last conferences I went to, I was president of the Community Foundation. One of the last conferences I went to was in Ottawa, and in place of Christian prayer, it is now a growing tradition across Canada that Indigenous peoples are represented and are the new religion. They get everyone to stand up and, pray to the Great Spirit and beat drums and stuff like that. And it's again, it's something I absolutely refuse to do. I just won't have anything to do with it.
Yeah, different sort of nonsense, really, isn't it?
Yep, it's all the same. Yep.
Yep. This is the season of funny news, in case you haven't noticed. And here's the first one. Representative Lauren Boebert, famous right-wing, can I say nutcase? Yeah. Right-wing nutcase, yes. Republican of Colorado. She spoke to Real America's Voice. I don't know what that is. It's a radio or TV show. And
Sounds like it.
yeah, and she argued that former President Donald Trump was prayed into office by millions of Americans so that he could stack the Supreme Court with right-wing zealots who would then end federal abortion rights.
Well, that right there is a reason for not being a Christian.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And the Supreme Court, there's the statue of the blindfolded justice with the sword and the scales. When religion is ensconced in law, clearly the blindfold is not being worn. The scales are tipped in one way or the other, and the sword is at the throat of everyone who stands before it. It's outrageous. I understand that there is one, as far as I know, at least one governor who's looking to expand the number of seats in the Supreme Court. And make some changes so that this kind of outrage doesn't continue to happen for the next 200 years.
Yeah, more power to his elbow.
Yeah.
So we're coming to the end of our allotted time, and I just want to amuse you with a couple of items, 3 short items here, which has happened. One is in the UK. There's a Derbyshire village called Whaley Bridge, which has the Bridge Bakehouse on its it's a cafe on its bridge, and it's come under fire recently because it's been offering for sale a £4 cheese sandwich, which is labelled on the menu, Jesus Christ.
I'll take 2. I'll buy 2.
And apparently, it's met with some action, or some vandal action. There's been a dubious legal letter, and the sign of the Bridge Bakehouse has been vandalized. So it seems to have offended some people. And one person is commenting, "I regard myself as a Christian, and the most offensive thing about this story is charging £4 for a cheese sandwich."
Well, it's only about three years ago. I did a talk to the Whaley Bridge Probus Club. I did a talk called "Strictly Die Laughing," which is about humanist views of death and humanist funerals and things like that, all in good humor and with a bit of. And I got a good reception there. They seem to be quite amenable to.
They are, yes. It's a nice area. My son lived there before he moved to New Zealand. So you'd like to know this, because there's a menu on which this blasphemous sandwich is listed. And the other things on the menu include, "Don't go bacon my heart."
Okay. Good sport. Good.
Are you chicken me out? And "Get your goat, you've pulled."
Get your goat. Okay.
Oh, that's good.
I remember that brilliant Australian sitcom called Kath and Kim. Do you remember that one? And it was on the telly in this country. And at one stage, somebody asked their friend to get some baby cheeses for a party, and she went and came back with a baby Jesus. Baby Jesus, because in Australians, they sound a baby Jesus. It's the same,
Baby Jesus.
You get the part, Guy.
And another really funny thing is this woman says, she wanted to say, I want to be affluent, I want to be rich, but she said, I want to be effluent. So effluent is what comes out of sewage pipes.
Well, thanks for that. Nice way to end. So I'm going to wrap up now because we've done 40 minutes and that's the target time for this show. Wonderful comments from you all. Thank you very much for coming. Hope to see you again next week. Take care and say bye-bye, everyone.
Bye. Bye.
Several clergy
was the Pope appealing for peace, or was he praying for peace?
And the same applies to the Kaliningrad.
Yeah, that's a good question. So what do you have to say about that, guys?